So right now it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Jacki Chen. So Jacki is himself living with chronic hepatitis B, and he is the founder of the Taiwan Hepatitis Information and Care Association in Taiwan. He moderates a patient support group for hepatitis patients in Taiwan and globally, using mainly the Chinese language. He is a faculty member at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School in New Jersey, where he teaches pharmacotherapy of viral hepatitis. He also serves as a member of the Hepatitis B Foundation's own community advisory board, and we're thrilled to have him be a part of our Just B storytelling cohort. And he is a member of the Hepatitis B Patient Council for GlaxoSmithKline and is also an AASLD PAG member. And so Jacki will speak today about his experiences with clinical trials, and he'll also be joined via recorded video by Joe, who is another amazing hepatitis B and Delta advocate and storyteller who lives in California, and will share his video.
Thank you, Bridget. My dear friend Joe, he is not able to be here today, but I'm very honored to have the privilege to share his story in a video. So Joe was diagnosed with HBV back in 1978, and that was followed by a HDV diagnosis in 1997. He started the nucleotide analog antiviral therapy for HBV around 2002, and then he entered into a clinical trial in 2013. At that time, he already had a clear sign of liver cirrhosis. I have combined his Just B story video that he made in 2019 with Hep B Foundation, and alongside his inspiring update just a few days ago for after he has completed a successful liver transplant. So that occurred earlier this year. So now let's watch his story in this video first.
As a kid who loved nature, I was always smelling the flowers, digging in the garden. In the mid-70s, as a young gay flower child, I faced my fears and came out to myself, my mom, and friends. One day a friend said, "Hey Joe, your skin's a little yellow. You should see a doctor." I found out I have hepatitis B, but was told nothing about what that meant, and I just forgot about it. The AIDS crisis hit. Everybody was worried. I got tested and was relieved. I'm negative, but I did still have hepatitis B. In 2013, my liver became inflamed. It turned out I'm also infected with a rare, serious virus, hepatitis Delta. In a follow-up email, the specialist typed, "There's no good treatment. Good luck." I wasn't about to leave it up to luck. I got online and found out about hepatitis Delta and that it only affects people who also have hepatitis B. I wish they had had the Hep B vaccine back in the 70s. It could have prevented both viruses. So, the only drug trial for hepatitis Delta in the US was at the National Institutes of Health. I hoped this trial could save my life. I joined, flew across the countries in 6 years to get the treatments I needed. Last December, the Delta virus in my body was near zero. The treatment was really working. Then, with just 2 months of the trial left, I fell ill, really ill. I lost 25 pounds in 3 weeks, and my abdomen filled with fluid. In drug trials, the patient's well-being is always the first priority. My doctors took me off the drugs, and I've recovered. Sure, I'm disappointed I didn't finish the trial, but I feel so good about my part in the research. I'm still being tested, still monitoring myself, and I'm still hopeful we'll find a cure. Earlier this year, 2023, I had a successful liver transplant, and I'm recovering quite well. In 2013, I made the difficult decision to join a clinical trial for hepatitis delta. And as I may have said, I made over 70 round trips through the 3 phases of the clinical trial. I really enjoyed being involved. I realized pretty quickly I wasn't simply a lab rat. I was a citizen scientist, and science has always appealed to me. And here I was, a part of it. And my careful observations were crucial to everything. It was difficult at times to get on that plane. Most of my visits were less than 37 hours from my front door in Northern California to the NIH in Bethesda, Maryland, and back home again. And that was especially tough when I felt really ill, as I did at the end of the final phase. Would I join another study? Perhaps. What I would hope is that clinical trials could be more flexible and more of the mundane kinds of blood tests, lab tests, scans, electrocardiograms could be done locally. My own hospital is highly rated, and I'm an hour from UCSF. It would save a lot of time and effort on my part, and I think it would be beneficial to the study as well.
Wow, that was a very touching story. For my own clinical experience, actually I started in 1992, and you have just heard about that year. That's the year when interferon was just discovered and in the market. And that was back in San Diego, California. It's about 20 years earlier, before Joe's clinical trial. And I never told anyone about this experience before, so you are my first audience. Thank you very much for coming here. Back in 1992, after I relocated to the beautiful San Diego, I received a startling call from my family member. Back in Taiwan, they say that my brother has a devastating issue, that he is battling with liver cancer, with liver cirrhosis, and that was a cause of chronic hepatitis B infection. So at that time, I worry about my own health, so I asked to be tested. And the result confirmed the suspicion that my elevated liver enzyme prompted an immediate referral from a nurse station to a specialist, a liver specialist. And as you know, treatment option at that time was very limited, with interferon being the only choices, and that was just started at that time. But you also know that it has a very challenging side effect and very limited efficacy. So I was determined to find a solution, and therefore I enrolled in the clinical trial at the Scripps Research Institute. The trial involved extensive blood testing and also genotyping for HLA, and also a liver biopsy. And that was to be followed by an injection of an experimental therapeutic vaccine at that time. So this was filled with a desire to prevent a similar fate as my brother, so I embraced the trial. This pivotal experience not only shaped my personal journey with hepatitis B, but also ignited a passion to contribute to the broader field of medical sciences. So in my journey through this clinical trial, unfortunately, there's a critical moment that arrived. So despite my initial optimism, I understood that the circumstances that at that time that I was in should be different from my brothers, although I'm only like 3 years younger than my brother. And also because I was living in a less stressful environment in the US, so I believe I will be fine, I will be all right. And also at that time, I was alone, and being alone in this process was also very challenging. I lacked the support system that I needed to discuss the concerns that I have about clinical trial and about the condition. And also at that time, the liver biopsy itself was a daunting experience for me. So the site, actually I saw it, that there's a large needle that is entering my abdomen before I lost consciousness. That remained very vivid until today. So after the procedure, actually I left the hospital swiftly, despite the advice from the nurse that I have to have someone pick me up. But I had no one available to pick me up. So I retrieved my car from the parking lot and I drove home myself. So my surrounding was swelling, and then everything was like in a dance when I was on the road home. So that was really scary. That almost killed me, actually, I think. But later on, when the investigator discussed my result with me, he came to where I work at a research institute, and including a very crucial genetic data and information about what they have found about me. And I asked for a written record. I wasn't able to get it. I inquired about the potential worst-case scenario from the experimental injection, and the answer was stark. He said, my liver might fail if every cell was infected, and that could prompt a desperate immune reaction, and the life support would be the last resort. But he said that we will give you a life support if that happened. Obviously, we know that didn't happen, right? And that at that time, that therapeutic vaccine wasn't really effective. So I once thought that the life support meant a chance of survival, and actually I didn't realize that means that it has its limitation. So it became also clear at that time that the odds of a trial-induced cure was very slim at that time. And meanwhile, my brother and my mother also faced a breast cancer diagnosis, and that demanded me to go back, with international travel. So given these circumstances, I made the difficult decision to forego the trial treatment. So 30 years later, in Princeton, New Jersey, here I am, and I'm still standing, and also as my brother. We have been on antiviral for over decades now, and we are continuing to take the antiviral. We are not going to stop until we got cured. In this time, I've delved deep into the understanding of viral hepatitis, even taking up teaching the topic at our medical school on viral hepatitis. I felt called in to do more, so I also established a nonprofit dedicated to aiding patients, especially for those that share my language and my background. So will I participate in a clinical trial now? Absolutely, without any hesitation. Over the years, I've actively contributed to various research avenues, including accepting survey as simple as that, and then to donating blood, that there were nurse coming to my home, and then you say, we're going to enroll into a clinical trial, and we need some of your blood. So, and a nurse come to my house, and then just draw some blood. So that was very convenient. I really appreciate that. And I'm also open to potentially donating plasma in the future. So those are all the things that we can do, at least minimally, to help with the clinical trial in Hep B study. I'm also keen in engaging in phase 1, 2, or 3 clinical trial. We know now that there are phase 3 clinical trial for Hep B functional cure. I recognize these are pivotal role in advancing a medical knowledge. However, I might be more cautious about alternative treatment, that there are some that might be going on. So what do we hope for in a clinical trial? So first of all, safety. So I think it's very important to ensure the safety of the participant. And for instance, that we have heard before, there were non-human primates were killed in earlier HBV trial, and a patient in the control group ended with liver transplant. This all reminded us the vital importance of safeguarding all study subjects and not just those in the experimental group. Agencies like the FDA, they play a very crucial role in upholding safety standards. Proper compensation, I think this is very important as well. Participants invest their time, they take the risk, they make this considerable effort to contribute to clinical trial. We are volunteers, but we are also citizen scientists. We deserve protection and support, just like the investigator and the sponsor. They should be valued as an integral part of the trial, not merely as experimental subject. And I think we also demand a reduced burden and convenience to participate in any clinical trial. So many patients like Joe, he face significant travel burden to participate in a clinical trial. And therefore, implementing local alternative with medical center, I think would greatly alleviate these challenges. Health benefit. Above all, trial must demonstrate promising potential benefit to the patient. Only those treatments deemed both safe and likely to be effective should advance into human trial. Data transparency. Trial data, often inaccessible to patients, should become available upon request once the trial has concluded. The health-related information holds great value for the patient. It's more important for the patient. In fact, I call up my clinical trial that I enrolled 30 years ago. I asked for my information. They say, none is available now. They destroy everything after 7 years. Education. I think patients should be thoroughly informed and educated about the trial they are joining. Providing comprehensive information about the trial they are involved in is essential. So until today, I do not remember which phase was the trial that I was involved in. I believe it might be phase 1 or phase 2, but I wasn't given enough information at that time, even though I work in one of the best research institutes, and I was a scientist. The next thing I think is also important is respect. No participant wishes to feel like merely a lab rat. Every patient should be treated with the same respect as any other member of the trial team. Finally, I just want to share that it's through this experience that we find the determination to drive the progress and improve outcome for those facing similar challenges. God bless us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jacki, for sharing that incredibly powerful story. And I think it really emphasizes the importance of having support, especially and not being alone. And thank you for sharing.